This is a story about a challenge that has faced our community for over 50 years. It is a story about careful deliberation, costly delay, a dedicated citizenry, and a community coming together to build a bridge to the future of our town. This is also a story about Otter Creek, which has always been a key to Middlebury's identity. Long ago known as the Indian Road, it became the Settlers' Road during the time of northward migration into the Vermont wilderness. By the 1780s, when Daniel Foote and Gamaliel Painter had established sawmills and grist mills at the base of Middlebury Falls, Otter Creek was becoming a road for passenger travel and heavy freight between Pittsford and Middlebury. Nevertheless, the establishment of a dependable in-town crossing of Otter Creek proved to be extremely difficult.
An interesting thing is that the location that was chosen for the Cross Street Bridge is almost exactly the site of the first crossing of Otter Creek. There's a fording spot down there. Otter Creek was, of course, an impediment to travel within the area. As a result, in 1787, Daniel Foote built a bridge on the line of the Main Street Bridge, and as soon as that first dry crossing of Otter Creek was established in the region, all the regional roads tended to converge on it, almost like iron filings to the pole of a magnet.
After Daniel Foote's bridge burned, the town debated for years about the best course of action. Since wooden bridges were at the mercy of fire and flood, in 1892, Middlebury citizens planned for a bridge made of stone. This finally became possible through a generous financial donation by Colonel Joseph Battelle. However, it wasn't long after the Main Street Bridge was completed that some people felt the town was already outgrowing it.
I have a mother who's in her 96th year, and she graduated from Middlebury College in 1936. And she was asking me one day, she said, "Where exactly is this bridge going?" I said, "Well, it's going downtown." And she looked at me, she said, "Oh, they were talking about putting a bridge there when I was in college."
The 3-mile covered bridge south of Middlebury became part of this story after it burned in the 1950s and was never replaced.
The town had been going back and forth between bridge and bypass and what to do about its traffic problems for years and years. This was first built in 1801 and had been rebuilt a few times. It was in tough shape. You can see it's got a big sag in the middle. It's got boards crossing the entrance to try to hold it up. So at the time it was burned, it was in such poor repair that it really wasn't usable. And this was a great source of frustration to farmers who lived out in that area. And so it was torched. There's a very strong likelihood it was a farmhand. He believed that they would collect insurance money and the town would then have the money to rebuild it. But the town, at the next town meeting, voted 490 to 283, I think it was, not to replace a bridge out there, but to instead replace one in town. And that was the beginning of the use of the term in-town bridge.
This is a state highway department report from the legislature in 1955. And in this report, it talks about the traffic problems in downtown Middlebury and what the potential solutions would be, the need for a solution. And it talks about the congestion, and this was 50 years ago. And what the solution was a second in-town bridge at the end of Cross Street over to Main Street.
It was then estimated at $1.2 million roughly. which would be considered a bargain today, but it was a huge amount of money in 1955.
Efforts to develop viable alternatives to the Main Street Bridge were revived in the 1970s and 1980s, but with little progress. The cost continued to rise as the project remained in limbo.